Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to this short series that we're having where we ask a coach some pretty good questions. Those sort of questions you want the answers to. And I know you want the answers to these questions because you're putting the questions you want to ask in the comments below. So if there's a question you want me to ask Coach Mark, put it in the comments below and we will ask Coach Mark. Coach Mark, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's too easy. Love having you. Okay. Dying to ask you this question. This question is from me, and that is, should your cadence change? I'll give you a bit of backstory in a second. Should your cadence change between a short run and a long run? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that question, because mine does. When I'm doing, not a short run, I mean like an easy run or
easy run. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
my cadence is really much slower than when I'm racing. And the thought occurred to me, well, shouldn't my cadence be about the same, or should I be training with a higher cadence? Because if I'm not used to a higher cadence, I'm going to be less efficient or draining my battery or becoming tired or faster because I'm not used to a high cadence. And that's exactly what I'm doing during my racing. So Coach Mark, question for you today is, and let's see if you can sum it up in 5 minutes. The pressure's on. Should my cadence be slower during the easy runs, or should it be closer to something like the same as my fast runs?
Yeah, look, your cadence will naturally be a little bit slower in your easy run. That's just a given, but it shouldn't be a huge amount slower.
It is, yeah, okay.
And the reason for that is, in fact, you talk about focusing on the cadence. Probably that's the wrong way to look at it. It's more about focusing on your stride length, I think, especially on an easy run. Because if the cadence is too slow on an easy run, it probably indicates that you might be overstriding a little bit on the easy run and just sort of turn your legs over slow, which actually provides more stress on the legs than it might do. So actually, I advise people to run with a shorter stride length on their easy runs, certainly at the start of the run, and then you warm into it anyway. And then the cadence will probably look after itself. Your cadence, in terms of you're running your faster runs and your races, that gets you used to running at a higher cadence, which was when it's really important, to be honest, right? Because that's when you need it. But on your recovery days, it's more about running with a shorter stride, so that your cadence will naturally be a little bit quicker. It won't be as quick, but it shouldn't be incredibly slow.
Okay, look, there's a big gap between my cadence at the moment, then during my easy runs and my fast runs. And would I experience, if my cadence is too different, would I experience a different foot strike as well hitting the pavement? Because I'll tell you, I experience a bit more of a thuddy sort of foot strike during a slower, easier run than I do during when I'm running fast. When I run fast, I'm sort of bouncing and my foot's hitting in a different way, but I get that sort of slap, slap, slap during the.
Yeah.
So should I be super conscious of that then? Does my foot strike give me a clue that my stride length has stayed the same? But
yes, okay. See, that indicates that you're probably heel striking a bit too much in your easy run. If you see that, you feel the slap, 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 rather than pushing the ground out from under you. A good tip to think about, actually, when you're going on your easy run, imagine that you're running over ice, so that if you land too far forward, you'll go sliding on your bum. And that, using that little thing in your mind, I find that helps keep your stride length short. You look at Kenyans when they run as a group, and they start off their runs and they run so slow and such little steps, and then you just naturally warm into it anyway. The other thing is as well, so that's with the legs. So imagine you're running over ice, but the other thing with your hands, just lightly brush your the waistband of your shorts or whatever, but hardly move the arms much further forward. So it's just going back and forth just a tiny bit, brushing the waistband of your shorts. And again, as I talked about it earlier, into your arms govern your legs. If you just have a small swing of the arms, the legs will follow.
So usually when I run my arms, a bit more. I'm exaggerating it, of course, for those looking at me thinking I'm a loony runner. Well, anyone who runs isn't a loony. Let's. But okay, here we go. So arms are a little bit more like this, but you're saying just bring your wrists down closer to your waistband and just shorter motions like that. So really think about reducing the range of motion, not just of your legs, but of your arms, having that congruence between the two to keep the cadence.
Yeah. It's very hard to think shorten the legs. It's hard to think of that. If you focus on the arms,
right,
it's a much easier way to think about it. It's an easier way to get your brain around, I find, and then your legs will follow. But what then happens is once you get into the run and you warm up, you just naturally go and you sort of stay with that, but then your arms might go a little bit more, and you're running a bit more freely. But you've set yourself up well.
Okay.
More importantly, you get that tempo. When you run, you get into a set tempo, don't you? And you almost sort of tap it over in your head as you're running. So that will just maintain during your whole run. You're more likely to set yourself up. And if it's something you're not very familiar with, the more times you do that, the more it will reinforce it, and the more it becomes second nature. I look at easy runs, the real easy recovery, I call them armchair runs, as though you're just sitting in an armchair, ticking the legs over. They're wonderful, especially if you've done a real good hard run or a race the day before. It's just wonderful just to get out and just tick the legs over, almost effortless if you're feeling fit.
Yep.
Wonderful. They can be wonderful runs to balance up a week.
But you've got to, and I think I'm speaking on my behalf here a little bit, you've got to consciously think about the cadence you need, at least at the start of the run, until it becomes the rhythm for the run. If you're learning this for the first time, and again, I think I'm asking you a question from my experience, because when I started to focus on increasing my cadence or having it more aligned to my racing, that level of cadence in my easy runs, it took a bit of energy right at the start to do that, because it felt like I was moving from not a slovenly, but just a sort of something that was naturally ingrained to actually bring it up to a higher tempo. It actually took a little bit of effort. So that's something that we could expect to expand, just really a little bit of effort to just try and focus on our cadence.
Yeah. And another thing I tell my runners is that you should make changes quite gradually, because if you do something drastically different for the body, it might show up in terms of a niggle or an injury. So you can ease yourself into things like that by say every 5 minutes, run a minute, just focus on your cadence, once you get into your run, and then the rest of the other 4 minutes, don't even think about it. Next week, you might do a minute and a half, and 3, except.
Oh, no. That video was going so great. Coach Mark is frozen. I do not know what that means for a recording. Coach Mark, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Did I just freeze?
I'm going to have to do some editing on this video. Yeah, we got some dead space in the middle. Either that, I'm going to leave it in. I just hope people forgive us. Okay, so let's see if we can wrap this. Because there's a lot of good information in there. Okay, your cadence. So tell me if I'll try and do the summary like I think we've started to do with these videos now. I'll do summary. You tell me what I've got wrong, right, and what you want to add. Keep your cadence relatively congruent. During a race, your cadence is always going to be a little bit higher, but don't let your easy runs, the variation of your cadence in your easy run, be significantly different than that in your fast run. Try and keep some level of congruence. If you're not already doing that, it will take a bit of training. Don't dive in the deep end. think about your cadence when you start your easy run, and maybe every 5 minutes, just think about it, and just for a minute, focus on your cadence. And then over time, increase the proportion of that minute over the 5 minute. You know, it might be 1 minute for a week, and then 2 minutes of the 5, 3 minutes of the 5. It will take some effort to get your cadence up. How you know your cadence is too low and that there's a big variation is your foot strike will give you some clues. You'll get some thudding, which you won't get while you're doing it in racing, which might mean you're heel striking, you're reaching out too far. So your easy runs are still going to be at that, you know, for me, it's a 6 minute to potentially 6.5 minute K. So it's slow, but it's slow because I'm not putting a lot of energy in my stride. My cadence is taking over, but my stride is reduced. Where during the race, I'll be increasing my stride. Quick little tip from Coach Mark about focusing on keeping that cadence high during your easy runs is don't exaggerate your arm movement. Have your thumbs brush your waistband. Just keeping the arm motion just short and sharp, because there's that natural congruence between short, sharp arm motions and short, sharp legs movement and the cadence there. Coach Mark, is that it around about? And have I missed anything or anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. The only other bit is imagine that you're running over ice.
The running over ice. Yeah. Yep. Perfect.
So if you step too far forward on ice, you're going to skid on your bum. So
so really upright, feet underneath the body. Okay.
Pushing the ground underneath you, and then it'll be less strain on your legs, which will
perfect.
Add it
right. Next time we go for an easy run, we've got a couple of things in mind there that will help us with our cadence. Coach Mark, thank you very much. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from you, Coach Mark.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure speaking to you, Darcy.
We've got a whole bunch more questions coming your way. So thanks very much for your help. Team, thank you for watching. Anytime. And Coach Mark and I will catch you in the next one. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.